What is up, guys? My name is Ryan, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be teaching you guys how to create a minimalistic app profile design. Now I want to encourage you guys to leave a like down below, and once this video reaches 75 likes, I'll put the project link in the description for you guys to follow along and use. Also, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, click the subscribe button for more videos and tutorials just like this every Tuesday. So let's jump into Photoshop and get to work. Now this is what we're going to be creating today. Now we're going off of the iPhone 5 dimensions, which is 1136 by 640, or this can really work with any screen dimensions, but today we're just going to be working with the iPhone 5S or iPhone 5, whatever, it doesn't matter. Everything will be included in the project file once this video reaches 75 likes, excuse me. And everything will be included, with whether that be the fonts, pictures, or the icons. I actually have the icons here. And if you guys would like me to do a tutorial on how I made these icons, leave a comment down below. And if this gets enough, if you guys ask enough for this, I'll do it in our next tutorial next week. And also I'll have some pictures in there as well. So let's start by going to File, New. Make sure the width is 640 and the height is 1136. Make sure that our resolution is 72. Make sure color mode is 8-bit, or you can do 16-bit, but then you're going to have a lot bigger file size. And we're going to make sure that the background is transparent. And hit OK. And as you can see, we have our blank canvas here. So the first things first, what we're going to do is we're just going to bring in our background here. So we're just going to drag this over into our background here. Now this can work on, you can use any background, doesn't really matter. And what we're going to do is we're just going to line it up to our liking. Right there, looks about good. Make sure that everything is sealed and you don't see any of the background being shown. And what we want to do next, because we're going to be creating that blur effect that we have here. Now to create that blur effect, we're just going to go over here and hit Control and click on our thumbnail image right here. And as you can see, it will bring up our marching ants around our image. What you want to do next is we want to go up here to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And I already have it set to 10, but you could have it set to 10 or anywhere between that. So, maybe 8.5. 8.5 looks good. And hit OK. And to deselect our marching ants, all you have to do is hit Control D and it will deselect everything. Now the next thing we want to do is actually, first we're just going to bring in our status bar. So I'm just going to drag that into our new project file, just so we don't have to worry about that later. So just center that up right about there, and that looks good. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a rectangle. So we're just going to drag out our rulers to make sure everything is lined up and nice and even. Now if you don't have rulers enabled here, all you have to do is go up here to Window and make sure that rulers are checked off. Where is that? Where are rulers? Usually they're here. Where am I missing them? Oh, here we go. Sorry. You have to go in the view, make sure rulers are checked, and make sure that snap to is on too. Then you can also choose where it snaps to, what it doesn't snap to. So that's can be helpful. What we want to do next is we're just going to click on our screen with our rectangle selected. Make sure that our width is 640 because that's the width of our document, and our height is going to be about 150. There we go. And we're going to make sure that's below our status bar. Let me just get that no color. There we go. Make sure it's below our status bar. And we're just going to drag it in like that. And that looks pretty good. But I'm going to change the color of it because I'm not really liking the color. So we're just going to double click on our thumbnail image there. And we're going to make this a lighter blue. Right there, looks about good. Now the color I'm using is RGB and it's 3B4956. So if you guys want to copy that, you can. Or it can really be any color you like. Hit OK. And we're just going to call this top bar so we can keep things all nice and organized. And the next thing we want to do is we're actually going to add our bottom bar. So actually, to make things simpler, we're just going to hit Control J or Command J on Mac. And we're going to call this our bottom bar. And we're just going to drag this to the bottom, and we're actually going to make this a bit smaller. So right now this is 640 by 150, and we're actually going to decrease it to 160, or sorry, 640 by 130. So as you see there, that's 130 pixels right there. So we're just going to hit enter, and we're going to change this to a semi white, and we're going to change the opacity to 75%. As you can see, it gives us kind of that see-through effect, and you know, it adds a nice little touch to it. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to bring in our icons, and to do that we're just gonna, you know, like I said, everything's going to be included in the file, but I'm just going to drag them in here, and I'm just going to take our user bubbles and everything that it's going to be in there, and we're going to drag that into our project file here, and space it up like that. Now that's in the center of our document right there, but they obviously need to be spaced out, so we'll just evenly space these out right now. Make sure the bell is spaced out. Now you don't want to go too close to the edge, because just like in any mobile app design, you don't want to be too close to the edge, or things could become like not functional when coding it. So you want to be careful. Right there. Actually, the conversation bubble needs to be moved in. There you go. That looks good. Right, that looks good. That looks about good. And now the next thing we're actually going to do is we're actually going to pop this into a group just so we can keep things all organized and stuff. So we're just going to call this icons, just so we can keep track of everything. And click and hold shift to select everything, and we're just going to drag that into our group file right there. And it's looking pretty good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some numbers down here. So we're just going to hit T on our keyboard and bring up our text tool, and we're going to make sure that our text is size 24, and the font we're going to be using is Open Sans. And so, you know, this, you can do any kind of numbers you want. For this we're just going to do, I don't know, 48, whatever, it doesn't matter. Actually, it's a little too small, so let's make this a bit bigger. We're going to change this to 28. Let's see how that looks. That looks about good. A little bit bigger. We're going to, right about there, you know, try to keep it in the middle of the icon. That looks good about there. And then we're just going to hit Control J to duplicate that. And we're going to call this number 1. And we're going to call this number 2. And so on, just so we can keep track of our numbers. Drag that out to our conversation bubble there. And we're going to change this to let's say 12, and right there, that looks about good. Again, hit Control J to duplicate it, and we're going to call this number 3, just so we can keep track of it, and drag it over. And I'm also holding shift when I'm dragging over to keep things perfectly leveled. And we're going to change this to 73. And move that over a bit, like so. That looks good. And once again, hit Control J, and we're going to call this number 4. And like I said, drag over again and put it right about there. And we're going to change this to 21. Now, as you can see, everything's a little bit out of place. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring our icons up, and we're going to drag our numbers in. So the bell goes with number 4, the heart goes with number 3, conversation bubble goes with number 2, and so on. So now that everything's in there, as you can see, everything's in that group, we're going to move our conversation bubble over, and we're going to do the same thing with the heart. Move it over a bit, and we're going to move the bell over. Right there, looks good. You know, just move everything to your liking. Now, you know, obviously I would have this spaced out a lot better if I wasn't doing a tutorial, but I'm just doing this quickly so you guys can, you know, just get the gist of everything. Now that's looking pretty good. Let's zoom out and see. That looks pretty good. I'm actually just going to move this over a tad bit. There we go. And that's looking pretty good. So what we want to do next is we're actually going to start working on our, actually, no, before that, we're going to actually work on our upper bar here. So we're just going to bring our text tool again, and we're going to type in profile. And change this to a white. And I'll center white, like so. Make sure that's above our top bar. and like so. Actually, whoops, I don't know why it's all caps. Profile. We keep it. Oh, why is it all caps? I don't understand that. Hold on. Okay. Give me a second here. That's weird. My caps aren't on, but for some reason it's capitalizing it for me. Hold on, let me try. Let me delete that. Try it again. Profile. I think I figured out our issue here. Let me see. Where's character? Character. Oh, that's our problem. I had double caps on for some odd reason. Anyways, besides that, click again. We're just gonna go to profile and change that back to open sans. There we go. That's looking good. I'm gonna change that size to about 40. Size 45. And we're gonna drag that up there. And we're actually gonna make this. We're gonna make that 35 or 40. But we're gonna make it semi-bold, like so. And right there looks about good. Actually, we're gonna change the kerning of our text a bit. So we'll just bring up our character thing, and we're gonna change this to 50. Give it a little bit more spacing and more readable. So yeah, just change the kerning to 50, and that should look good right there. We're just gonna select, double click on our text, and we're gonna make sure that our color is all good, which it is right about there, looking good. Hit Control D to deselect. There we go, and that's looking pretty good. Now we're actually gonna go into our icons again, and we're gonna bring in our these two, our menu icon and our envelope. We're just gonna drag that in there, like so, and that looks right there, looks pretty good. Actually, this needs to be spaced out a bit, so let's line this up again, right there, make sure it's lined up in the middle of our profile text there, and just drag out our menu thing, menu icon to there, and same thing with our envelope right there, looks about good. So we have that, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our we're going to start making our profile, but first let's just organize our layers here. We're going to go to top bar. Like I said, just keep everything all organized, drag that in there, and make sure that everything is nice and selected, which it is. Also bring our phone status bar in there too. Whoops, let's drag that up. There we go, looking good. And what we're going to do next is we're going to bring in, start making our profile. So so the first things first, what we're going to do is we're just going to go over here and bring up our clips tool, and we're going to click and just click in our document, make sure our we're going to make this a 300 by 300 circle, and make sure that from center is checked. Hit OK, and as you can see, we have a nice perfectly circled, perfectly circular circle. Sounds funny. We're just going to make this our off-centered white like we did before, and we're just going to bring in our profile. I just have a very simple profile picture of this person right here. We're going to drag this in to our document, and what we're going to do is we're just going to scale this down just a little bit and make sure that everything is uniformly scaled. And when you're scaling things down, you want to make sure this is checked to make sure it's scaling perfectly, both your width and your height. So hit enter, and what we're going to do is we're going to click, go over here to our circle bar here, our circle here, and we're going to make sure that we're clicking on our thumbnail image by hitting Control and clicking, which will obviously select it again, and we're just going to go down here and hit the mask button. Now you want to make sure that your image is above your circle, and we're just going to hit mask. Whoops, that's my mistake. Yeah, whoops, and hit mask. There we go, my mistake here. Have the circle selected, but you want to have it with the marching ants. Here, I'll do that again for you guys so I can explain better. Make sure that the marching ants are selected on your circle, but you want to make sure that your profile picture is selected and then hit mask. So there you go. Now as you can see, you can only if you want to scale or move it around, you can only move around the image. Now if you want to scale it or move it around, you want to unlink our mask here, And to scale it down, our image, we're just going to click on our thumbnail of our person, and we're just going to hit Control T and scale this down a bit. And right there, looks about good. Move it up a bit, and there you go. It's looking pretty good. Just link that back up, make sure it stays the same. And what we're going to do is we're just going to hit Control T on our circle, and we're going to bring it out and make sure that the width is 110, and make sure that our circle is still linked and, you know, staying the same. And we're going to change the opacity of our circle, so you can see we added like a little circle there. We're going to change the opacity to 25% or 20%. And what we're going to do is we're going to double click on our circle there and bring up our layer styles. Now the first thing we want to do is we're going to add a drop shadow, and we're going to make sure the distance is 0 and put the size to 10 or 20. There we go. And we're going to change the opacity to 45 or now 50. And the next thing we want to do is we're going to go add an inner shadow. Make sure the distance is 0, and we're going to make the size to 5 and change the opacity to 30. And then we're just going to actually add a stroke. It's going to be a white stroke. Actually no, black stroke, my mistake. And make sure the size is 5, and we're going to bring the opacity down to 20, which gives it kind of like that edge effect, and it looks pretty good. So that's good enough for our circle there. As you can see, get that kind of nice bolded opacity feel to it, which makes it look really nice. So once again, we're just going to minimize our effects there, and we're going to move our circle up a little bit. Right there, looks about good. And the next thing we want to do is we're going to make our button. So let me just organize our thing here. So we're going to make this our profile picture. Hit OK, and just drag our circle and our profile picture into there, like so. And the next thing we're going to do, like I said, we're going to make a button. So we're going to go down here and grab our rounded rectangle tool, and we're going to make sure the radius is 8. And what we're going to do is we're just going to grab some rulers here to keep everything all nice and organized. What we're going to do is we're actually going to make the width 100 by 75. Whoops, that's actually not what I meant, my mistake, but either way, we'll drag it out. Let's make it, we'll make the width, let's make the width like 250. Yeah, so we're gonna make the width 250, and let's make the height 90. There we go, it looks pretty good. Let's see how that looks. It's looking pretty good right there. Let's just oops, my mistake. Let's just make sure it's all nice and lined up there. It's looking pretty good. And what we want to do is we're just gonna put that right below our profile image right there, and we're gonna double click to pick a new color, and we're gonna pick our top layer color that we have there. Hit OK, and we're actually gonna call this REC #1 because we're gonna be making duplicates of it. So we're gonna hit Control J, and that's gonna be our duplicate. Drag that below our top one, and we're gonna call this REC #2. And what we want to do is we want to hit down on your arrow keypads or your arrows 3 or 4 times, and we're going to double click to make a new color, and we're going to make it this a darker blue that we have here. Hit OK. And we actually want to put that down a bit more to give it kind of that button pushed out effect that we have right there. And what we want to do next is we're just going to go to we're actually going to clear our guidelines here. We don't really need them anymore. What we want to do is we're just going to grab our text tool and hit follow. We're just going to type in follow and just drag that and make sure it's above your rectangle layers, and right there looks good. We're actually going to make this font smaller. We're going to make this 30 or 25. Let's make it 30. Now the button size can be however large you want it. Now we might end up scaling this down, but for now we're just going to keep that size. The next thing we're going to do is going to make a plus. So to make our plus, we're going to grab our rounded rectangle tool, and we're going to change the radius to 3 up here, and we're going to drag out, and we're going to make this the width, well, as close as you can get, 20 by, we're going to make this 20 by 60. There we go. We're going to make this our white. Just make it a white. And we're going to actually duplicate it. So hit Control J, and we're going to hit Control T again to rotate it 90 degrees. Now, to get a perfect rotation, you just want to hold Shift and rotate around to get perfect angles. And we're actually just going to select both of these, and we're going to right click and hit Convert to Smart Object. So now it's just one giant layer. Now we probably do need to scale this down a bit to about, say, 60. There we go. And now this plus does look a little bit too bold, but it's no big deal. Like I said, this is just for tutorial sake, so I am going a little bit quicker than I normally would be. And that there looks pretty good. There we go, it looks pretty good. We're actually going to downsize our rectangle here. We're actually going to close it in the width, so we'll make it 210. And that right there is looking pretty good. Like I said, let's just make sure it's all lined up well. Whoops, didn't bring our plus with it. There we go. It's all lined up nice with our profile. And right there, it's looking pretty good. So we're going to make a new group. We're just going to call this Follow Button. And we're going to drag everything on into our group. And there we go. We have our button. So the next and final step we have to do is create our text. So we're just going to create his name. Let's just make up a name. Let's call him Alexander Broman. I don't know. That's just the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking of it. And we're actually going to change the stance of this to bold, like so. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to keep that semi-bold, and we're going to change this to 45 or 40. There we go. And as you can see, we're just going to line this up with our circle here, and line it up like so. Just make sure everything's all perfectly centered. Now this may not be perfectly centered, but I am going quick with this. Like I said, just a tutorial. And once we have that, we're just going to get Control J, and we're actually going to drag this below his name to duplicate it. And we're going to just put a website name. So let's change this to lowercase, and we're going to change this to alexanderbroman.co.uk for his website. And we're going to change this to regular, and we're going to change the size to 25 or 30. And we're just going to move this just below his name here. There you go. We see we have a very nice group of fonts here. It looks very nice. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to just label these and name. Whoops, I spelled that wrong. Name. And the last thing we want to do is we're just going to add a profile, or like a biography, just a short description of yourself. And right there, looks good. And we're going to change this to 25. So just, you know, type in whatever you like. Whoops. Yeah. This is a short description of yourself. Wait, never mind, let's rephrase that. This is a bio. This is a bio. This is where you can give us information about yourself. So others know who and what you like to do. Yeah, this is just very easy, very simple. I, didn't really, put anything you like in there. It's just to show you guys an example. Where's our text? There we go. Actually, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for our character. There we go. Make sure we're gonna change our our spacing of our text, because see, our text is a little bit too scrunched together. We're gonna change this to auto, and that right there looks pretty good. And we're gonna actually change our kerning to 30, and we're gonna make sure that our text is light, and that looks pretty good. But we're gonna change the size down to 20, and just we're actually gonna hit Control T. Bring this in a bit. Oops, wait, that's not what I want to do. Hold T, grab your text, and we're gonna drag this in because it's a little bit too close to our edge there. There we go. Looks pretty good. Maybe the text is a little too small. Maybe we do have to do 25, 23 maybe, 22. I guess 22 looks pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty simple. And let's just zoom out and see what we got. Okay, let's move up our whole thing because it's a little bit too low. So there we go. That right there is looking pretty good. And actually, that needs to be moved up a bit more. Right there looks pretty good. Now the last thing I want to do is let's just space out our bio a little bit here. And the last thing I want to do is we're going to add a page indicator. So we're just going to go down here, add our circular marquee, or not our circular marquee, our ellipse tool, and we're going to make this 100 by 100. Oops, a little too big. Actually, we'll just scale this down to 20. There we go. And have that centered in the center of our page, and we're going to make this a white, and we're just going to hit Control J, duplicate it, and make another one, and we're going to change the opacity on this to 70, or no, 60, no, 70 is good. And then once again hit Control J, drag another icon out, and just needs a little more spacing. And change this to 40, and actually we're gonna make this 90, give it a more of an opacity feel to it. And let's just zoom out and line up our page indicators there, line it up with our follow button because we know that's in the center of our page. And right there looks about good. Those icons are a little bit big. Let's scale them down a bit more. Let's change that to 80. Alright, there, it looks good, and let's just space these out more. Right there looks good, and just once again center it up, and there we go. So that's looking pretty good. A very simple, minimalistic profile design. It wasn't too crazy, very simple. There may be some effects that we could add to it that I didn't do. But if you guys want this project file, be sure to leave a like down below. Once the video reaches 75 likes, we'll put it in the description for you guys to download and follow along with. And if you guys aren't already subscribed to this channel, click the subscribe button for more videos and tutorials just like this every Tuesday. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel at Symmetry HD. My link will be in the description for you guys to go check out. And I also post various tutorials, whether in Photoshop, After Effects, or Cinema 4D. And I have a lot of videos for you guys to go watch. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, click that like button, and thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a nice day.